Hey guys, this is the closest forest to my home, aside from the one I live inside of, which is Feathersdale. And over my shoulders you've seen there's a troop of monkeys. And you know, a funny story, Dominic's teacher told him that if the Garden of Eden existed, it had to be in Tanzania because the oldest footprint found was in Tanzania, not far from here. And so the beautiful forests of Eden are here. And if Eden were a physical place, then I could happily agree that it could indeed have been somewhere like Tanzania, a country like Tanzania, because it is so profoundly, naturally beautiful here. But what if Eden is not a physical place? What then? What if we don't have to travel to far off lands to find Eden? What if even when we are in somewhere which we perceive to be a little bit grey, or somewhere where we have bad memories? I'm good at this. I have bad memories of a location and I associate that with my bad memories. So I find places depressing. But what if everywhere we go, what if we can return carrying Eden with us? What if we find Eden? Not a physical, beautiful forest like this, but what if we find Eden inside ourselves? And this obviously echoes back to the story of Eden and Adam and Eve. Now, I've spoken before on a video where I said, did the ancients know how to split the atom? Well, here is where we have the problem with the literal translations of stories like Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. First and foremost, we all know key parts of this story are not true. Snakes don't talk, for example. We know this without any shadow of a doubt. But the problem we have is that we've had a weak male-dominated society. And they don't actually use scholarly abilities, they use habitual abilities. So, when we look at the story of Adam and Eve, the Bible clearly states, and he made their name Adam. God created man and woman, and he made their name Adam. I don't think you can see me for the sun. Hold on, let me relocate. 1 second. So, God made man and woman, and he called their name Adam. So clearly, Adam is male and female. For the Bible tells you, it uses a term, their name. So, if God made man and woman in Adam, then what's Eve? Well, Adam stems from the word atum. Obviously, people with English names were not floating around at the beginning of time. And there's a reason that we use these names and these terms. Guys, hold on. There is a reason we use these names. There is an etymology which has been lost in the English language, which carries on throughout the ancient languages. Now, Adam and Eve are the beginning of all life. And Eve is the rib taken from Adam, which begins the multiplication of the human race, the energy that is the human race. But if you take an atom and you take an electron out of that atom, you begin all energy multiplication that we know of, the splitting of the atom. And I would then hereby say that Adam and Eve is indeed the story of the beginning of all life, because it's an allegory on one level, as I often say. It's an allegory for the splitting of the atom, of the male-female energy, the positive-negative, to begin the multiplication of sentient life in human form. Or sentient life that took human form. So then many people will say, who's the serpent? And I've had this recently because people, when I speak of Kundalini, the symbology that is used in the Eastern mysticism to represent that is the coiled serpent. Now, Kundalini ultimately means dormant energy. That is what that word means. Now, the serpent of the story of Adam and Eve has nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. Because the serpent it's referring to is the serpent that lives inside you today and me today. You see, the wisest creature in the forest was the serpent. And the most cunning and wise creature on this planet is the human being. We lie to ourselves, to others. We use it as a skill, in fact. But we even, more importantly, as I say, lie to ourselves. And sometimes we know we are lying to ourselves and other times we don't. And the serpent is that thing that coerces you away from that which you know is right. Inside every person listening to me now, the serpent lives. The means by which, that which the Christian teachings refer to as Satan, the lower nature of ourselves, is the access to that energy. That's how that energy accesses you, via the serpent that dwells within you. It accesses you through your flesh. It accesses you through the symbol of the human body, the spine, the core structure that the whole of our human vehicle is built around. So the serpent is that which exists in all of us, and it's the flesh, it's the passage of the flesh whereby the enemy can enter you. And it tells you everything every day. I speak regularly because I believe one of the most poisonous things, two most poisonous things on Western society that when I lived there was alcohol and masturbation. I honestly feel that the wasting of energy that those two things creates such a dulled down population, it's unbelievable. Completely caught in the flesh, completely subservient to the serpent. And the serpent must be overcome. We have to overcome it. If we don't, then what does our species become? Well, not to offend my counterparts behind me here, but they are driven by instincts a lot more than humans are. They are driven by different aspects of animal nature. For all this might be a bad example because they are quite a loving species. But we are supposed to be, as we say, human beings. So we're supposed to be above that animal nature. So I started with saying about the Garden of Eden, and is Eden a place of physical soil and green lush trees and beautiful wildlife? Well, it's not, because in the mystic sense of the Bible, sorry, my arm slipped, in the mystic sense of the Bible, if you look at the way by which God can enter Eden, it's to the east, the right side of the garden. The right side represents the right hemisphere, which is the spiritual, awakened spiritual hemisphere of the human mind. That's why once Jonah is out of the whale, another story which clearly can't be literal, he goes to the east side of the city and observes the chaos within. That's why you cast your net to the right side of the boat to catch 153 fish. 1 plus 5 plus 3 is 9. human consciousness. You catch a conscious state by casting your energies in meditation to the right side. That's why a strong easterly wind separates the Red Sea from Moses. That's why you must be at the right hand of God. That's why the promised land is in the east. And the gate for God to enter Eden is the east. Because Eden dwells in the east of yourself. The east is where your light comes from. And the east is also where, in the northern hemisphere, the rising sun will always be dwelling from the east. This is why the tribe of Judah, 186,000 fourscore, 186,400 members in the tribe. If you don't know, that number is the constant speed of light in a vacuum. They set their camp at the east. The tribe of Judah is the tribe of light. That's why the constant speed of light is inside the Bible. But these things are never spoken about in church. No one talks about them knowing how to split the atom. No one correlates logic and common sense and practical observable science with these wonderful mystic writings. You've got the splitting of the atom, you've got the speed of light. And you've got an esoteric language of mysticism which shows that the east, the right, is always the dwelling place of the wisdom of a human being. The right hemisphere of the brain is what it represents. So Eden is something that you must find within yourself. And Adam and Eve, the serpent, is the introduction of choice, the choice to do good, the choice to do bad. The fall of man, as they say, was when we ate of the fruit of good and evil, the tree of knowledge. And there's two theological discussions with regards to that, and I'll do a separate video on that someday, I think. But of course, we know that there's something wrong because it's not literal, because the God of the Bible clearly said that you'll die if you eat it. But we didn't die. Literally. We literally did not die. So was he lying? Is the question that you have to be left with. Or did we die in another way? Were we alive like the counterparts behind me? Like a dog in your home who has no carnal mind. And because they have no carnal mind, they're constantly living in a vibrant state of energy, always present-minded, always bringing you love. Even if you lose your temper with a dog and smack it, it'll still come back to you with immediate love. It doesn't hold a grudge. A human will. They're more alive than we are, unless we learn to get our carnal mind out the way. Is that the death he referred to? Or, as the old Gnostic Christians said, that this reality is a distortion of the original love of God and the light of God. And so they believe that the creator of this reality, the creator of the physical body, which allowed the angles of light, which we are, the fallen angels, to descend into those bodies and be trapped. And this ideology came about because the God of the Old Testament was a brutal, evil character. We all know he was. Rape, murder, very, very angry character, very small-minded character, was very jealous. All of these strange lower nature aspects. And I wouldn't dare say that if it wasn't for the fact that later on in the Bible, God himself said, who told you to do these things? Who told you to give me all these blood sacrifices that half of this book has prattled on about? I take no delight in the blood of fatted calves. So, which God was in the Old Testament is why they say that. They are confused as to who the creator of Adam and Eve was. Because Jesus himself descended into this reality and said, the kingdom of God is not of this world. The prince of this world is Satan. So, that side of it is not something I want to get into. But I just thought I'd say, because people will be wondering, what's the fall of man? Well, there's many theological ideologies of what the fall of man is, but I would say quite simply, it was the introduction of choice. And without us having the moral guidance that we need, then, unfortunately, we started to make bad choices. And even today, as persons of all faiths go back to that example, watch pornography, drink alcohol, to whatever they might be doing, be dishonest, gambling, all of these things that don't help you, things that don't progress you, then things that risk everything around you. Then they are fallen. They're making wrong choices. They're listening to the serpent. So it exists today, the serpent, in everybody. But also Eden exists in everybody. Just very few people know how to access it and go off with these geographical concepts of where it might have been. And the truth is, it was right behind their noses all along, because it's an internal place. So Adam and Eve, to me, not literal. Story of the splitting of the atom. He called their name Adam, masculine, feminine, atom, positive, negative. Eve, the electron, leaving the atom, starting the multiplication of life. The serpent that came is the introduction of choice into the human vehicle, which is the introduction of the carnal mind, and the choice to do good and the choice to do bad. And perhaps the development of a carnal mind, just as we have the development of carnal minds in some of our animal neighbours around us at the moment, from studies we can see they are starting to develop that side of things. Perhaps that development, due to that alone, is the fact that we did die, as the God of the Bible said, because we were no longer vibrantly alive like all of the animal counterparts. It's so difficult for people to align to the present moment. It's so difficult for people to take no thought. But you must. Because then you can dwell in Eden. But it does help. Don't get me wrong. It does help to find that in nature's surroundings. So don't worry about finding the physical Garden of Eden. Find it inside yourself. When you do, even waking up in your same room that you've always been in, like it happened to me one day, it'll just be so beautiful and vibrant. Just as beautiful as this is now. That's the state of mind that we seek by seeking first the kingdom within us. So, right, going to get off. Just seeing this guy hiding. Love and light, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really helps us to grow the channel and with it help more children here in Tanzania. Also, don't forget you can support our work by sharing with children in crisis here, be it sharing for a particular need or even sharing one-on-one support for education, housing, food and medical care. It can be done for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee a week back in the West after all. Just visit www.sharetanzania.co.uk to find out more. Lastly, remember you can also support us via Patreon, www.patreon.com/featherstail, and help keep us here in Tanzania to continue our work. The links for the website and for the Patreon are in the description box of this video. Love and light, guys. See you soon.